If you're on a closing call with someone and you are selling a high ticket package, this is the ultimate guide to sell that person. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Ashton Hunter. I work specifically with fitness coaches and I help them scale their high ticket packages. So this is like the holy Bible. This is the go-to. This is what creates a ton of cash. This is the last step to converting leads into cash, right? And arguably this is the most important step, because if this step messes up, it is arguably the most painful step. If you lose 2 leads this way, if you lose a lead that way, who cares? But if you lose 3 or 4 sales, if 3 or 4 people ghost you, it hurts. So if you nail this, you nail your business, right? So this is by far the most in-depth training, in-depth guide that I'm going to do on all of YouTube in terms of fitness specific selling, and specifically high ticket. When I say high ticket, I mean upwards of $800 to $1,000, right? So number one, the first point I want to talk about before I jump into it is selling is no different for $1 or for $10,000. When I say high ticket, the difference is minimal. Don't think about, oh, it's $10,000. Oh, it's $5,000. I have to change my selling strategy. Of course you have to change your selling strategy. But is it drastic? No, the principles are still the same. Number 2, this script is used for the closer. This script is used for the final call, the final consultation before you convert that person, that consultation, that free session, into a paying customer for that high ticket package. Number 3, the appointment setter beforehand, the person who is booking this and dealing with the customer before this, has to pre-frame the closer as somebody of a high status. A high status, right? The appointment setter has to use subtle clues like limited availability, aka scarcity. Yep. So this is what we do in all of our companies. Yep. So John, who you're going to be talking to with the closing, he has a cancellation tomorrow at 8 a.m. That's the only time I'm going to be able to get you in this week. He's quite busy. Instead of saying, hey, come in whenever, John's available whenever, what happens? John's status goes down, or John's status goes up, right? We're going to make the sale a lot easier for John if we pre-frame him with a ton of status so he doesn't have to build that status by himself. And if that appointment setter sucks, who cares? Our script is amazing, but that is a very integral principle in this entire process. So let's jump into the actual script. So I've used this script several times. And also the script is, if you look at some of the questions on it, they're tentative. So they are meant to be changed, right? So number 1, I'm going to go very quick through this. So this is a video to be paused. This is a video to be go back to. And this is a video to reference multiple times, right? Number 1, pre-frame the call. So once you're on the call and you've done a little bit of small talk, basic stuff, you're going to jump in and you're going to pre-frame the call. Why pre-frame the call? So there's this book called Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. I recommend everyone to read it. He basically argues that the only way to persuade someone is to persuade them. So you have to, before you actually try to get them to do something, you have to do things beforehand to make them lean in your favor. This is everything. This pre-frames your status. This pre-frames how everything is going to go. This is the initial conditions of the call. So number 1, what you're going to say is, okay, let's get started. I only have X amount of minutes, implied scarcity. And I really want to make sure that by the end of the call, you've gotten clarity and value. Is that cool? Let's jump in. Get permission. Get them to say yes. Let's jump in. So I have a few questions for you. It might sound like I'm interrogating you, but really, we're just going to dive in, get to know where you're at, potentially what you need some help with. Then at the end, if you feel Like this is something that you can help you. We can talk about possible next steps. Sound fair? So tonality is everything. And I know you probably know this because, if you're watching this, you're trying to increase your sales ability. Tonality is everything in sales. Tonality is 99% of the sale. I actually, statistically, Jordan Belfort said this in his mastermind that I was a part of. Your tonality is about 80% of actually the selling. Like, that's scientifically proven. So using proper tonality is everything. So why did I say things like feel? This is why is this highlighted? You may look at the script. Why is feel highlighted? Right? Sales is emotional. You're appealing emotionally, not logically. So you're going to want to avoid words like think, and you're going to want to start to lean towards words like feel. This is the fitness industry. People don't want to lose weight logically. They want to feel like they want to lose weight, right? They may one day, want to lose 30 pounds. Then the next day stuff their face with cake. It's just how it works. It's just how the industry is. This industry is very emotional, right? So using words like feel instead of think are everything. Your goal with the pre-frame is to get a yes from them before you continue. Pre-frame the call. What you're going to do is you're now going to jump in to a pre-connecting question. So this connecting question is just to connect the bridge between why they what's the motivation, and then you presently. So you're going to start the conversation off with, great. So just curious, what motivated you to take the time out of your day to schedule a time to meet? This is going to give them a good reason to tell themselves why they initially met with you, and it's actually going to start the call really well. They're going to explain why they wanted to talk to you and why they wanted to talk to you now, right? Get the ball rolling, and then this is going to slightly bring out some pain that they're potentially feeling in this moment. They may bring out something right off the bat. This is common, right off the bat, about why they wanted to meet with you that you can then identify. Number 2, you're now going to move into a situation question. So you're going to figure out what is their present situation. What is the problem they're dealing with? What is this thing that you can identify that potentially you can help them with? All sales is solving problems. So what you're going to be doing is finding out what that problem is in their current situation. So you're going to go in. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. What are you doing now? What type of thing are you doing to get X? How long have you been doing that for? How long have you been with X for? How long have you been with that gym for? How long have you been doing that diet for? Right? You're going to be doing this and get them to identify a problem, right? They're going to start to feel like what they're doing is dumb and wrong. Your goal here is to let them, right, let them up what they're doing for you to see the problems. So they're going to show you their problems, and they're also going to tell themselves their problems with their current situation. If you've ever been through this yourself, I highly suggest, if you're a salesperson, to be sold. Go and try to get sold before. I've been sold multiple times before. This stage in a sale, if someone does it correctly, it makes you cringe at your current situation, right? Cool. Number 3, problem awareness. So now that you're in that state of cringe, you're now going to ask, or you're now going to see if that prospect, if this is a big problem to them or not. So, do you like this? Do you like what you're doing? Do you not like what you're doing? Do you like the current processes you're using to attempt to lose 30 pounds in the next few days, in the next few weeks, in the next few months? Right? So you're going to see if this is truly a big deal to them. Because if it isn't, then you could just end the call here and say, hey, listen, Mr. Prospect, I want to be on the same page as you. If this is not a big deal to you, then this is not going to be a big deal to me. You have to take this more serious than I do. Does that make sense? Cool. Next, number 4, 2 truths. This is where you're going to qualify the urgency even more. So you're going to actually figure out, okay, why is this thing so important now? Why not, wait? So why is this problem of losing 30 pounds? Why is this problem of solving this problem important to you now and not wait for New Year's like 99% of others, right? Because 90% of others do wait. So why now? And people are going to tell you now. And what they're going to be doing is they're going to be telling themselves why now. which is very important. Number 5, solution awareness. So what would they do to change if they could, right? These questions involve their ideas and lets them own their problems emotionally. On average, you would probably ask 2 to 3 questions in one conversation, sometimes more or less depending on the answers, right? So in this, you're going to see, okay, are they aware about that? And if they're not, then you just brought it to their attention. But if they are, then now you'd be able to see that, right? Have you been out there looking for, anything else that would solve that problem and potentially give you what you were looking for, what you wanted? Let's say you were to solve this problem. How do you see the benefits of, actually solving this? How do you, what does that look like? What has prevented you in the past from changing this? X, Y, and Z. Got you. So this is going to really bring out kind of and allow them to realize, oh crap, maybe that's really bad what I've been doing. Number 6, consequence questions. This is very powerful, but it can also be really badly used. I've seen so many people used it. I've used it incorrectly before. If this part hasn't been done correctly and you haven't appealed to them emotionally, if you hit them with a consequence question, it will actually seem very disingenuous, right? It will actually kind of turn them off, and they'll feel like sales. They'll feel like you're salesy and you're trying to push for the sale, right? If everything else is in check and you can kind of feel them emotionally in your frame based off of your feedback of them, then I want you to hit them with this. If not, you may have to ask more solution awareness or actually come up and ask a few others. But this is a very powerful question. What will they do if they continue living in this pain? So this is where you get them to visualize, what if they just stay in their current position, right? So, Mr. Prospect, I know this may sound a little personal, and I don't want to sound, intrusive at all. But hypothetically, let's say you continue, doing what you're doing. Let's say for the next, 5 to 10 years. What would that be like? And then just shut up. And they're gonna they're probably gonna pause for a sec, and they're gonna say, "Oh, that would suck." Da 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 da. Just gonna go on for probably a minute. Let them talk, because what they're doing is they're telling themselves. Number 7, qualifying questions. Now you're gonna qualify this. So this emotion that you made them feel with this consequence of going down that dark path. Let's not qualify it. Let's get them to qualify for us, right? Let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being very important and 1 being not important at all. What would you rate the importance of, solving this now and not being in that case of, 5 to 10 years in the future potentially where, you continue down the road you are? Okay. An 8. And then what you're going to do is if they list a number below a 10, you're going to say, okay, an 8. Can I ask why not a 10? Right? This is going to get them to justify and give you literally the objections you need to handle before even doing any objections. See, this is crazy sales advice. Number 8, transition question. So now you're going to transition to the presentation. You've qualified them. At this point, they've qualified for you, right? You've led them down the dark path. You've made them aware of, the potential solutions, qualified their urgency. You've done all that, right? Now you're going to transition to what we call a presentation. I don't like to use the word presentation because the salesmen who ramble are the worst, right? We've all sat in presentations that have been 20, 30 minutes, and we've just fallen asleep. We wanted to get out of there respectfully way before that, right? So the best way to do a presentation is 60 to 90 seconds max. You may be looking at me like, what? 60 to 90 seconds? How is that possible? Mine are usually 10 minutes. Yeah, you're going to do it in 60 to 90 seconds. Why? I'm going to tell you why. So everything leading up to this has been emotional, right? The transition, the presentation is logical. So if you ramble logically, then you're just going to waste all the hard work you've done, right? So when you're actually talking about solving their problem logically with your solution, which is logical, you're going to want to keep that short because they're already at this point, they're already invested. If you say something semi good, they're going to be interested. If you say something really good, they're going to be interested. If you say something just good, they're going to be interested, right? Why? Because you've built up that emotional tension with the pre-frame, everything leading up to this. So you're going to say this. And this is what I've done. I've tested this multiple times. This is what I've done to make the presentation, quote unquote presentation, the most emotionally driven presentation and not logical. Most people mess up presentations by going too logical. This is the most emotional presentation you could possibly give, right? With the presentation, you're going to want to briefly tell them about the product, obviously. You're going to want to briefly tell them about the solution, but you're orienting everything to solving their problem and reaching their desire. You're not talking about nuance. You're going to ask questions, and you're going to follow up with them in those 60, 90 seconds. How? By asking them questions. Hey, are you with me? Does that make sense? Are we on the same page? Questions like this that keep them in that frame. It's easy for them to diverge. TikTok's out. People's attention spans are fucked. Okay. So, Mr. Prospect, based on what you told me, what we are doing might actually work with you because you know how you said you want to lose 30 pounds? And, because of that, it's making you feel, really sluggish, tired, and just kind of bad overall. Yeah. So this is kind of what we do if I were to give you a quick rundown. 60, 90 seconds, appeal everything to the solution, appeal everything to their desires, appeal everything to solving their pain. Then say, does that feel again? Another feel word. Does that feel as if it might be potentially what you're looking for? You're going to get another yes. Awesome. You're just building yeses. Next, we're going to come to the committing questions. Number 9, commit them to the next step and purchase. This is where you close. So, Mr. Prospect, does it feel from what I've told you that this could be the answer for you? Okay. Can I ask why? And do you feel like this could work for you? This is where you're really going to feel their level of certainty. If they answer this with limited certainty, if they answer with, maybe, then you got to go back. You got to go back and you got to backtrack. And sorry, you said maybe. I'm just curious. Why maybe and why not a full yes? Oh, that. Then you can start to handle more objections before you even try to get to the close. People save their objections to the close, right? Handle objections before you can even get them. The best objection handlers handle objections before they even happen. Russell Brunson, who's made tons of webinars before, he handled objections before getting to the end. He would go through, he would make a note about all of his common objections, and he would include them in his presentation. So when he would go through his presentation, he would say all the objections beforehand and handle them so like 75% of people would buy, right? Cool. Then you're going to go into this. Well, I don't really have anything to go over with you. It looks like we possibly covered what you're looking for. Really, the next step is we make some type of arrangement for the process. You could do wire or card, and at that point we will book an onboarding call and then get you scheduled in. Would that be appropriate, or how would you like to proceed from here? the biggest turning point. Most salespeople at this point go into scared mode. They go into like, oh, what if they say no? And then they start to lock themselves up, right? So in this moment in the sale, you have to learn to stay zen. This is the most relaxed you should be. The person's going to feel that. They're going to reflect you on that. If you're tense, they're going to be tense. Come on. This is the very important line. You're going to leave the ball in their court. How would you like to proceed from here, right? Never, ever, ever are you going to say, awesome. So, and then just go to the close or assume the close. Leave the ball in their court because they want to make the decision. Then they're going to say, awesome. Yep. So are you going to shoot me a payment link? That's going to happen 70% of the time, 60% of the time. What most people are going to do, a lot of people are going to do, is they're going to go into objections, which I have shared with you here. So now I'm going to go through with you guys my objection workflow. Ladies and gentlemen, hope all is well. This video is going to be strictly on how to handle objections. Now, this is just what I've seen work for me. This is what I've just seen work for my clients. And our clients are closing packages, closing multiple four-figure packages every single day. And this is just the practice that we've implemented to get that result and get a very high closing rate. Our closing rate right now is upwards of 85%, simply due to the fact that we qualified people so heavily beforehand. So roughly out of every 10 people, we'll get about 8 closes that actually book in the meeting. So let's jump into actually what objection handling is and how to go about that. So what a lot of people think is, specifically when they're handling objections, is that they are kind of working around their concern and kind of like subliminally forcing them into the sale, right? It's like it's a very tense time during a sale, because what a lot of salesmen will do is the prospect may have a few concerns, may have a few objections, and then they treat those objections like a head-on attack, right? But what they don't realize is those objections are simply concerns that the prospect has. And if the prospect didn't have those concerns, then that prospect wouldn't be a good prospect, right? So it is good that you're here to help them get over their concerns. And you're going to do this in a very non-salesy manner. I'm not into the hard close. I'm not into all that stuff. This is a very easy way to just nudge someone over the edge and just get them to purchase with you right there. Apologies. I am a little sick at the moment. Okay. Number 1. So this is just a basic framework about how to go about handling objections. So what is objection handling? So all you're doing is just following 3 steps. To give you a quick rundown, you're basically going to clarify what their objection is. So treat it like it's a solution to solve, right? So they have a concern, right? What's behind that concern? Can you solve that concern? Okay. Once you clarify what the true concern is, then you're just going to have a quick discussion. See if you can help, ask them a few more questions, see if you can actually help with that, specific thing. Once you know their real concern is, why they feel that way, then discuss it like a friend talking to another friend. Most sales people at this point go into presentation mode, where they try to prove with facts and figures why they are right and why the prospect is wrong. This is a sin in sales. Never do that. At this point in the conversation, you have built trust. You are the authority. You are the trusted one. Because of that, they're open to you. You just got to work through it and get to the end. And then number 3, you're going to diffuse the concerns, and then provide an alternate solution. So what I've realized, and this is just personal, is that all objections stem from 2 main true, what I call root objections. So if you follow a branch, you'll eventually hit the root. And this is the 2 roots, pretty much, that all branches lead to. So whatever objection you get, let me talk to my spouse. Let me think about it. Can you send me a proposal? Can you send me this? Can I come back? All objections, 99% of objections, are what we call smoke screens. They're putting up a smoke screen so that they can, cover their true position on the chessboard. Right? They are covering their true position on the chessboard. They don't want to be known. They don't want their true identity to be out there to you, right? So what does that mean? There are two things that you need to handle, right? It's either they can't afford it. Very simple. It's like the price, pretty much. The price is expensive. I shouldn't even say can't afford it. I'm just going to say price. So it's just the price that's a concern to them, or their certainty isn't high enough. So trust. Right? That's all it is. And if you're able to identify which one of these, then you're now able to weed out and backtrack and reverse engineer which direction you should go in. So you're going to ask this simple question. You're going to ask, okay, so you're going to get an objection. Okay, Mr. Prospect, let me ask you a quick question. Is it more of a, just to be clear, is it more of a, how can I do this? Or is it more of a, kind of an if I should do this, right? And most people are going to say how, but some are going to say if, right? So what this is going to basically tell you is, are they objecting based on their lack of trust? So if they should do this is lack of trust, or how they should do this. Basically, they're committed to the process, but they're just concerned about the price, right? What you're going to do is you're now going to go into this. So you guys all have this. This is available to you. This is free. You can have this. This is all for you. You can literally follow this real time when you are on a sales call. So if they say how, you say, okay, yeah, no, you know what? No problem. Tell me though, just curious, if you did have the money, would this be something that would work for you? Right? So now we're even subjugating even more. If money wasn't even an option, like if this was free, would you do this? If money wasn't an option, this was $5, would you do this? Right? They're going to say either yes, or they're going to say, yeah, right? If they're hesitant, then this was a smoke screen, so that it's not even price. Then you're going to go back, and you're going to go to the other side. But let me just finish with this. If they say yes, you're going to say, awesome. Can you describe to me, your current finances, how much you have available at the moment to potentially solve a problem like this? Indicate their solution. Okay. So they're going to describe, oh yeah, I only have $2,000 available right now. I only have $200 available right now. Okay. So listen, I can totally appreciate that money might be an issue from what you told me, but how do you think you can resolve that where you can find funding to get to X, to get the X product and actually solve X problem for good, right? Key here, you're never using the word, how can you find money? How can you find the price? Funding, right? Funding. It's easy, right? It's an easy word because it's open. Funding, it's like open, right? If you're talking about how much money do you have right now, it's closed. Funding is open, right? Then they're going to say, oh yeah, so I have a credit card and I have this here and I have this there. Awesome. What other avenues do you have to find, the funding so you can get to the result? Repeat back what they said. Awesome. So quick question. Can I make a suggestion? So based on everything discussed so far, let's say hypothetically, I was a genie and you wish to get for, let's say $20,000 a month, let's say 30 pounds lost. How much funds would you invest to get this? Oh, well, I only have 200 right now. Awesome. So based on your funding, you roughly have X available to spend. And is that the most you'd be able to invest, today? to get that result? Yeah. Okay. So what I can do is, if you want to truly get to X result, is we can split up the investment into just one payment of X now, and the Y payment is kind of just like an afterthought for the future. Then you're going to shut up. You're not going to say, does that sound fair? Shut up. And they're going to say, what does that mean? Then you're going to jump into it, tell them about, okay, yeah, it's only going to be this much. You're just going to basically take the amount they have available and then back charge the rest. Right? Done. If that leads to a no close, you're going to listen from what we've talked about. Do you see the application of this potentially helping you? Qualify them even more. Do you see the application of this helping you? Yes or no? Yeah? Judge their interest off of their tonality off of that. Then you're going to say, okay, I'm a little confused on what you mean with having X to invest. So you're showing interest here, but you only have, $200. Oh, I see. Okay, do you have any other avenues of funding? Run through it again. Loop it again. Get to that close. Cool. So that, excuse me, that is the method to how to get through price objections. It's a very simple method. All you're doing is you're clarifying, right? Qualifying. How badly do you want this? What do you have at the moment, right? How much would you be willing to? And then here's an alternative solution that we can do to get to your solution, right? But what happens a lot is people aren't really too hung up on the price. Oh yeah, cool, yeah, the price doesn't matter, but just my trust isn't that high. So if it's an if, then you're going to come to this. And this is probably one of the most refined processes, personally, that I've kind of developed, trialing and error with myself and like being on hundreds of sales calls and just kind of seeing what works. So number one, remind them of their pain and the importance of solving this problem. Hey, listen, man, totally get where you're coming from. I totally get it. But is this problem not important to solve? Got you. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being I don't think a service like this can help me, to 10 where you're like, the service can 100% help me, I can see the benefits in it. Where do you think you fall on that 1 to 10 range? Awesome. So an 8? What's stopping you, I guess, from potentially being a 10? Right? So if it's below a 10, ask why it's not a 10. Then they're going to tell you their objections. Right? And then you say, why is that? Right? This method should clarify any concerns they may have. So why is that? Oh, I'm still uncertain. Or this may just have been a big smokescreen for price, right? And then that's when you come into price, the price objection, and work through the price objections, right? If it's not, if it's still trust, if you continue on that trust, building the trust, what you have to do is build some trust, right? Oh, I'm still uncertain. I want to talk with X. I want to think about it. I want to get back to you. Can you just shoot me over some proposals? At this point, you directly confront the objection head on. So this is where the objections split, and you kind of have to have individual methods to get through individual objections. And this is kind of just a few that I've been able to work through. So, number 1, I want to think about it. Probably the most common objection. Massive smokescreen. It is literally just like where you can see, okay, if they say, I want to think about it, you can literally come back up here and do a how and if. Okay, question. When you say you want to think about it, is it more of a how I can do this, or is it if I should do this? Right? That's all you're doing. So yeah, no worries. I encourage you to think about it. You never want to go up against an objection head on, right? You want to take their objection and you want to actually agree with it. It's more persuasive, and you're not fighting them. Yeah, no worries. Totally agree with you. I encourage you to think, about it. I don't want you to jump in before being 100%. But let me ask you, do you like the idea of this? Do you see how this can help you? Yeah, I kind of. Cool. Then you can jump into this again, go through. It may have been another smoke screen for price, and then you can do that again. Cool. If they say, I want to talk to somebody, this is a very common, especially in fitness, Very common. I want to talk to my mom. I want to talk to my dad. I want to talk to my wife. I want to talk to X. I want to talk to Y. What you're going to do, again, you're going to agree with them. Yeah, Mr. Prospect, no problem at all. I would actually encourage that. Let me ask you a question, though. You see the value in this? Like, do you see how this could potentially apply and help you out? What they say is, this is the same thing as this, right? This is going to allow you to judge their certainty based off their tonality. If they're really enthusiastic, yeah, this could really help me, this could really help me, this could really help me, then you're basically closer than you think. If they're more like, then you're a little bit farther away from the sale. That's fine, right? You can say, okay, let's say you were to reach, 30 pounds of fat loss. You think your spouse would agree with you on that? Like this would be a step in the right direction, right? So you're not trying to, you're collecting data here. Yeah, of course, my spouse would, think that's a right, a step in the right direction. Okay, why is that? Well, losing fat is healthy, and this is something I wanted to do for a while. Oh, okay. What if your spouse said that reaching this goal wasn't a good thing? Would you still do it anyway? Oh, losing 30 pounds is like, I think I would, because losing this weight is really good, and I wanted to do it for a while, so I think I would do it anyway. Okay. And then that's when you can transition to the goals, right? If it's more of like a price thing and they want to check the price with their spouse, you say this. Okay. So with your spouse, let me ask you a question. What's the point with them that you have to get permission in order to spend? Like, what's like the breaking limit where like anything above that, you're like, you have to check it with them? 1,000, 2,000, 500? Well, I don't even know. Well, and then you're going to say, well, if you go to the grocery store, you're not going to have to ask them to buy a drink. So there is a number, correct? Yeah, I would say maybe like 1,000, 2,000. Okay. And then you're going to clarify and make a new offer based on that. Get it in that range. If it's below the potential range that you can charge for them, it's like really low. If the guy says like $100, he's a horrible client, leave him anyway. He doesn't deserve your product. But if he's like 1,000, 2,000, it's like, okay. If hypothetically I were to get you in on a one time of 1,500 and then the rest is more of an afterthought, would you be willing to take action today? Got you. Cool. Last objection. This is a very common one in my industry. So this is a, can you send me X? This is very common if you're online. So, hey, can you send me like, a proposal? Can you send me a draft with an email with some stuff, right? Never, ever send out information. You must always walk someone through the information on the call. Never, because they will read it in a totally different way than you will read it, because you are presenting it in a manner that is inducive with emotion. Text, just raw text, never really induces emotion unless you're like an amazing copywriter, which I assume you're not. Awesome. So can you send me X? Yeah, no problem. Specify what specific information were you hoping to get. Okay. I'll get to work on putting together a quote for you if you'd like. Now let's assume for a minute we get you with a quote, and we're able to help you meet your needs that you mentioned, getting you to X goal. What do you see as the next step after that? They'll say, well, I suppose probably we'd work together, right? And then that's when you can say, awesome. So can you write this down? So to get to that specific problem, or for that specific problem that you mentioned up here, the specific information, write this down. So this part of the package is this part of the package is this, X, Y, and Z. And then you say, awesome. Does that clarify? Right? Then you're going to come in, and then now you're going to hit them with the, now Mr. Prospect, on a scale of 1 to 10, can I ask where you fall? Now I know you asked you this before, but can I ask on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you fall on that scale? It's going to be higher. It's obviously going to be higher. They're going to say, 9.5. Can I ask why not a 10? Mm. And then once they're like a 995, you can basically just kind of do a forced close and just like push them over the edge. Okay. This took me a little bit of time to present, but this is a very good process. Remember, all objections come from lack of trust and certainty or just price. Some people just don't have enough money. The price is low. They're just like, oh crap, like that's a lot of money. I'm just going to help them get through it. They have the money to spend. They're going to get help from you. Just push them over the edge. This is a little different because like you're building trust by telling them or by letting them realize how much they need this problem fixed and how you are the solution provider, right? So I love this how if, split it up, run with it. This is like the holy grail of questions. And a lot of the time, like I said, these will be smoke screens going to price, or price will be smoke screen going to trust. You got to kind of play with these. There's more objections than this. I know there's a lot more, but these are kind of the common ones. Just remember though that all these objections kind of bring you back to the top of this and potentially just are smoke screens for price as well. If you enjoyed this video, I appreciate you. I appreciate you taking the time to learn this because this is a very important skill. This is a skill that's always going to be nurtured, always going to be refined time and time again. And this will help drastically. This is a major part of the selling process. And if you know how to do this correctly, this will 3x your sales once the infrastructure and once your infrastructure and client acquisition processes are actually in place.